Elizabeth and Philip were first introduced to one another when the former was just 8 years old, at the wedding of Princess Marina of Greece and Denmark, Philip's cousin, and Prince George, Duke of Kent, Elizabeth's uncle, in 1934. 5 years later, when Elizabeth was 13 and Philip was 18, they met again at the Royal Naval College in Dartmouth. It was here, reportedly, that Elizabeth fell in love with her future husband, and they later began exchanging letters. In 1946, Philip asked King George VI for his daughter's hand in marriage. The king agreed on one condition, that the formal announcement of the engagement was delayed until Elizabeth turned 21 the following April. According to reports, both the king and his wife Queen Elizabeth were reluctant to approve the marriage out of fear that their daughter was too young. In post-war Britain, there were also fears over how Philip, who was born in Greece, considered himself Danish and had German relations, might be accepted as a member of the royal household. Indeed, upon becoming engaged to Elizabeth, Philip dropped his Greek and Danish royal titles, becoming a naturalized British subject and taking the surname Mountbatten from his maternal grandparents. Later, on the eve of their wedding, King George conferred upon him the titles of Duke of Edinburgh, Earl of Merioneth and Baron Greenwich. Elizabeth and Philip's wedding day took place at Westminster Abbey on the 20th of November 1947. The event did not go without incident. Elizabeth's tiara snapped on the morning of the wedding, and Philip was stopped for speeding through central London on the day of the rehearsal dinner, the 19th of November. He reportedly said at the time, "I'm sorry officer, but I've got an appointment with the Archbishop of Canterbury." At their wedding breakfast, King George VI described the union as a genuine romance. "Our daughter is marrying the man she loves," he said. Meanwhile, former Prime Minister Winston Churchill hailed the event as a flash of color on the hard road we have to travel, referring, no doubt, to the climate of post-war Britain. Following their marriage, and in the years before Elizabeth became queen, the couple held a royal residence in Malta from 1949–51, where Prince Philip was stationed in the Royal Navy. They spent several years on the Mediterranean island, and it was here that Elizabeth lived the relatively normal life of a naval wife. As a surprise for their 60th wedding anniversary in 2007, Prince Philip took the Queen back to the island, and also to Broadlands, a country house in Hampshire, where they spent their wedding night. On the 14th of November 1948, Elizabeth and Philip became parents for the first time to a son, Charles, now the longest-serving heir apparent in British history. 3 more children arrived in the years that followed: Anne, on the 15th of August 1950, Andrew, on the 19th of February 1960, and Edward, on the 10th of March 1964. The birth of the 4 children, and Elizabeth's accession to the throne in 1952, brought with it a discussion on the family's surname. The royal family had held the surname of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha until 1917, when King George V decreed that the family name would be the less Germanic-sounding Windsor. When Elizabeth became queen, just over 3 years after the birth of Charles, the name of the royal house remained the same. Whether this caused any contention with Prince Philip is debatable. According to a biography of Elizabeth by Sally Bedell Smith, he once privately complained, "I am nothing but a bloody amoeba. I am the only man in the country not allowed to give his name to his own children." Surely enough, on the 8th of February 1960, a declaration made in Privy Council ensured that Mountbatten Windsor would be the surname of Elizabeth's and Philip's male line descendants. Having ascended to the throne, Elizabeth's coronation took place on the 2nd of June 1953. Prince Philip was the first to swear allegiance to the new queen, describing himself as her liege man of life and limb. Incidentally, becoming consort to his wife spelled the end of Philip's Royal Navy career, and years later, when Philip's biographer Giles Branderth asked him how he thought he was perceived, he replied, "I don't know. A refugee husband, I suppose." In 1992, the Queen had what she has famously described as an annus horribilis, or horrible year. The marriages of 3 out of 4 of her children had ended, and the whole family had been the attention of multiple media scandals, including, notably, the confirmation of an affair between Charles, Prince of Wales, and socialite Camilla Parker Bowles. Also that year, a fire broke out at Windsor Castle, one of the Queen's residences, causing extensive damage. The royal couple have also had to face a number of other close bereavements over the years. These include, notably, the death of the Queen Mother in 2002, and the death of the Queen's sister, Princess Margaret, in the same year. Divorce from Prince Charles, the response from the royal family came under criticism from the public. Under pressure to demonstrate her grief, the Queen made an unprecedented TV broadcast in which she described Diana as an exceptional and gifted human being. "I admired and respected her," she said, "for her energy and commitment to others, and especially for her devotion to her 2 boys." The Queen was later accused by some of not expressing enough sadness. As the longest reigning British monarch in history, the Queen has celebrated a number of jubilees: silver, 1977, golden, 2002, diamond, 2012, and, most recently, sapphire, 2017. In a speech addressing the Houses of Parliament on the 20th of March 2012, to mark her Diamond Jubilee, she noted that Prince Philip has been a constant strength and guide to her throughout her reign. Indeed, the prince has accompanied the Queen on many of her royal engagements, and when he announced his retirement from his duties in August this year, he had completed 22,219 by himself. The Queen and Prince Philip have 8 grandchildren in total: Prince William of Wales, Prince Harry of Wales, Peter Phillips, Zara Tindall, Nate Phillips, Princess Beatrice of York, Princess Eugenie of York, Lady Louise Windsor, and James, Viscount Severns. Their first great-grandchild, Savannah Phillips, was born in 2010 to their grandson Peter and his wife Autumn Phillips, with a second great-granddaughter, Isla Phillips, arriving in 2012. In 2014, a third great-granddaughter called Mia was born to their granddaughter Zara and her husband Mike Tindall. Sadly, the couple's second pregnancy, which had been due in spring 2017, ended in miscarriage. The couple went on to have another child, Lena Elizabeth Tindall, in 2018.